And welcome back from the break. This is now your Betfred Super League Week 3 debrief. Having already seen the results of the last 2 weeks, we now jump forward with the Warrington Wolves up against the Salford Red Devils on Thursday night on Sky Sport, or Friday morning if you live in probably the second greatest country God ever put breath into.
Big call there. Get prepared for backlash.
So, of course, Warrington and then Salford, one day apart for their respective round 2 clashes. The Wire downing Huddersfield 26-16, while Salford went down to the Robins 24 points to 10.
Yes. So
Let's talk about Salford then.
I knew you were going to do that. And also get the bad news out of the way first with backing up from the win from Lee in week 1 wasn't what we did. But I had to say, it was competitive early-ish on, but then Hull just pretty much put their foot down and carried on with it. But I had to give them credit. They played really, really well, Hull.
Well, what Salford did right, it was basically from the word go. The first set off the kickoff they set the tone on early. They were offloading, they were shifting the ball wide, really causing trouble around on Hull KR's edges, and they got a good result. On tackle 5, Dagger knocking on in the in goal, so that produced the goal line dropout. That's how Salford wanted to play in the first half. They dictated terms and put Hull KR where they wanted them, but they couldn't break them down. That was their problem.
Yeah.
They had the field position, but there was no conversion on that position.
And I'm pretty sure that's what you said last week, previewing this match. Salford had to throw the ball around and catch Hull KR off guard to set the tone, and I could be wrong with what you said, but I'm pretty sure that's what you said last week.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Well, that's what I did say to try and get round them. They did that, but they couldn't convert on that.
Yeah, exactly.
A very tight first half. Only one try in it, and then Hull KR, once they gained the ascendancy, I mean, Jordan Abdul, he had an absolute blinder. I thought Mark Sneed, if Salford won, I would have said Mark Sneed was my stand and our player, but because Hull KR got up, it was off the back purely and simply because of Jordan Abdul's involvement. 121 run meters, or 78 thereabouts, depending if you look at the Twitter profile for man of the match, or if you go straight to the website, because apparently the numbers aren't exactly lining up. But I'm going
to the website where it's more accurate.
Yeah, I don't know. But other than that, what is accurate, and it was not a debate, 2 try assists, of course, indirect involvement in 2 other tries that went the Robins' way, as well as 2 goal line dropouts that put Salford on the back foot. The offloads went away, and their game plan as well.
Yeah, so pretty much he turned the game into Hull KR's favour, Jordan Abdul. And obviously Salford, like you said, had the the front foot, but then he turned it around. He swung the momentum into Hull KR's favour, and that's where Salford stopped all the offloads and that because they couldn't get going.
And they also started making mistakes, which is another cardinal sin that you can't afford to do, especially playing catch-up football. For instance, they scored off Dion Cross in the second half, their first try after Hull KR gained the ascendancy, only for them to make an error off the kickoff of Joe Burgess. First game back, and made an absolute meal of it.
Yes, he did, which is what you don't need. But hey, everyone's human. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, that's probably a wiser thing you've said this entire time we've been doing this. You should probably be doing that more often.
Even professional athletes, and not just professional athletes, but professionals all around the world make mistakes.
Yeah, some more than others.
Yes, but some are more critical mistakes than others.
So for Hull KR, this is what's going on here. That not only have they beaten Salford for the 5th time in a row now, but they've also apparently achieved their own little slice of club history. Back-to-back wins to start a season for the first time in 16 years.
Wow.
For a club that got relegated and came back again, not too bad going.
No, that's not too bad going, but 16 years to have back-to-back wins start of the season. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good record to have a long time, but
You got to remember, Hull KR have been at the other end of the table, unlike the old guard, essentially.
true. But hey, good on them for breaking their own little record, and can they go 3 in a row? We have to wait and see.
Well, we will see. Meanwhile, Warrington making it 2 from 2 through the start 2023. Can it last for the wire? I got to say, once again, it was the forward pack that really stuck it to Huddersfield. I said that if Warrington were to get up, it would be because of really the dominant strength of the forward pack, and they paid for it in spades.
You pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Warrington were just way too good for Huddersfield. I mean, Huddersfield having that extra week off because of their postponement between their for the first
Round
match.
one clash against St Helens.
Yes, sorry. But yeah, Warrington were too good. And actually, they're not. I know it's only 2 games. You can't look too deep into it, but they're not off to a bad start, Warrington.
Well, defensively, they controlled the field once again, and Matty Ashton, he was the beneficiary of his teams in a defensive working, because we both saw Huddersfield. They tried to go around Warrington because they were getting no luck through the middle of the field. Lola here first up, throwing this long cutter pass that Matty Ashton got on a silver platter, intercept number 1, and then he made a net gain 20 meters off the back of that. So they were very lucky they ran them up there. But the second intercept, and this is why he's man of the match, for me, my personal standout, Matty Ashton, 2 tries, 247 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, 1 line break, as well as getting those 2 intercepts picked off from the Huddersfield playmakers.
Yeah.
That just is highlighted for me, Warrington's goal line pressure right there. They saw Huddersfield, he'll try to go wide. They made a big ad play. Matty Ashton was there on the end and to reap the benefits.
Yep. He was just in the right place at the right time, and that showed how dominant Warrington were for the match, really.
They did go to sleep a little bit late in the piece, I thought. They had Huddersfield right where they wanted at 26-6, but they let 2 tries in late, and I got to say, they were pretty soft-looking tries, particularly the ones to Will Price and to Joe Greenwood. They looked pretty soft.
Had to agree with you there. Look, if for and against earlier on in the season is what?
Oh, well, I'd say all 3, they got picked off round about their edges. Mainly, I'd probably think between the halfbacks and centres is Will Price. I was able just to clean break through, no questions asked. Joe Greenwood was able to hit the line late, which was sort of highlighted their fragility on the actual goal line defence that they didn't have against Leeds. And then Kevin Nagamo, again, just clean break through late in the piece on a reverse angle.
Yeah, but like what I was going to say is the for and against earlier on in the season could prove the difference come the end of the season. Like if Warrington hadn't fallen asleep, they would have had more of a margin to win by, that which maybe could cost them on later on in the season, but you never know. They could make up for it later on in the year. But they can't keep doing that, though.
No. I mean, in their defensive line was tested. It did eventually break, but the fact that it only broke after Warrington had put the game practically to bed, I think Darryl Powell won't be happy with that. Happy with the win, but I think there's still a bit of room for defensive improvement.
Oh, most definitely.
Movement. Now, Salford, they will go into this game after conceding 2 injuries to forwards that they really can't afford at this point.
No.
Alex Gerrard, the first man, and that he said wasn't exactly 100%, so not exactly what Paul Rowley wants to hit.
Playing him when he still wasn't right, but if he had no choice, he had no choice though.
So now he's potentially facing it on the sidelines for up to 2 months, whilst James Greenwood suffered a little bit of a concern himself. He copping a concussion in your Orkney. It's big win. He was actually playing for Barrow when he went down to York 28-14 at the LNER Community Stadium. So, of course, under concussion protocols, that's 12 days out. He's only got 21 players fit. All up.
Good.
26-man squad. Only one of them are fully fit.
Not a good way to start the season. Well, in any part of the season, really, they've only 21 players fit, but I guess you have to look on the bright side and say, hey, let's say you got 21 players fit at the start of the season compared to the end of the season where it's critical. Like if you're playing for a playoff spot and into the finals and you've only got 21 players, well, that's not going to be good because you'll have a lot of burnout come the finals and it could cost us to make it into the grand final or in the playoffs. So probably best to have it over and done with earlier on the season and suffer the consequences now than later on. But in saying that, you had to play catch up for the rest of the season, which isn't a good thing either.
All right, final call. How do you see this one panning
Oh,
out?
I'm actually going to go against Seoul for this one and say Warrington to win 7-12. They've been looking pretty good for the first 2 weeks. And I think they'll continue on and go 3-0 to start the year. A lot better improvement than last season.
I would like to see Warrington put in a solid defensive display. I think that's what Darryl Powell wants to see at this point. He's had 2 matches for 2 wins, but he's also come at a cost of conceding tries late in the piece as well. So I think if he can see some defensive improvements, because he's getting a forward pack that's humming along very nicely, and that's just giving a platform for George Williams and Matt Duffy to run right essentially. So he's liking that aspect, but I think defense is what he really wants to see a key improvement of. And to be fair, so do I at this point. Warrington win this, I think 7-12, of all said and done. On the wire to go 3 in a row for the second year running.
Yeah, we both agree on something for once, which is very rare.
Not really. Now, moving on to the south of France, we have the Catalan Dragons up against Hull FC. 2 sides currently 2-0, but only one can go 0-3 at the end of this weekend.
Unless it's 2-1 with a draw.
Then it'd be 2-1-0.
Yeah, no, but still.
So Catalan got an away against the very determined Lee Leopard side, got winning 14-6, whilst Hull had a narrow escape from Headingley, downing the Leeds Rhinos 22-18.
Yeah, that was a very competitive match between Hull FC and Leeds Rhinos, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Leeds Rhinos looking to bounce back from also the grand final lost and round 1, but Hull FC continue on what they did from last week.
They targeted, I thought, Hull. They got to the right side early because they knew Ash Hanley's not really a centre defensively, so they targeted that edge. In the same vein, and we didn't really touch on how Salford only really got to their right edge because they knew Sam Wood, Sean Kenny-Dowell were not in their preferred positions defensively. So they decided to do that same tactic with Ash Hanley, and it paid dividends. They sort of drifted away from that later on, but I think by that point their defense and their middle was on top of Leeds, so they could really just go for the crash play when it mattered most.
And it certainly worked off for them. Targeting the weakest side. You could say it's the weaker side. Only because of playing out of position, but it certainly did work.
Well, that's really because Leeds still don't have many centres on their depth chart. It's basically only Harry Newman and then McDonald. They got McDonald back, but they played him on the left. And then they lose Morgan Gannon to a head injury, which doesn't help their case either. So he's now out for the grand final rematch against St. Helens. But they also got caught flat-footed as well, and that's not good.
No, not good, especially this early on in the season.
And you saw, again, like with Warrington, Hull's forward pack just out-muscled them. The moment Chris Sarte and Kane Evans came on, they changed the momentum very much in favour of the uncle Tony Smith over the nephew in this little family affair that was going on right here.
That is true.
And you saw, or in the second half, Evans was drifting cross-field. Also, they find it back to Clifford, apparently it was. I was not exactly how I said it off air to you, but you saw Josh Griffin. He already spots the hole between Reece Martin and the middle defence. And Martin plants his feet down, and then bang! Griffin hits that hole, splits them up the middle, draws Myler in, 2-on-1, gets the way to Adam Swift. Hull completely in charge by that point.
I think that's a bit of a training drill. Well, not training drill, but like they've obviously practiced that internally or during the pre-season as well. And they've actually put it into out onto the playing field, and it's paid off for them. So obviously they'll be maybe working on that as the season gets on, build that combination a little bit stronger. So maybe watch that in the weeks to come and see if that continues on or if it's just a one-off. No, I don't think it'll be a one-off though. I'd say to continue on for the next few weeks, so the teams will have to get used to that. If not, well, the consequences, as we saw, is a try.
That's exactly right. Now, Chris Sarte was my man, and I deemed my standout player for this clash. 108 run meters, 5 tackle breaks, and 3 offloads in 2 separate stints. But this game, it descended into who could make the most amount of errors. It was highly entertaining, but it was also very error-ridden.
True. I think that's what maybe would have cost Hull SC the win that little bit more.
Well, it certainly cost Leeds the win. How
Oh,
many
yeah.
positions? What about that play? Ash Hanley makes the break. They throw the ball wide. This is in the second half, when they're trying to play catch-up. Hanley gets into the clear. Austin, and through this wonderful cutout pass to get him into position. Then he's backing it up. He's not even looking. He's not even paying attention. And that was a certain try that was bombed right then and there.
Exactly that.
And that's not the first one they had denied either.
Well, that try could have proved the difference at the end of the match, though. It could have been the win for the lead, for the Rhinos.
It could have been, but
But even the other one that they got that didn't happen either. They could have won by 2 tries, or by 8 try, but leave it on. But anyway, it wasn't meant to be for the Rhinos, obviously.
Rowan Smith would probably be pulling out the last few hairs he actually has left after seeing half of those errors that could have easily led to tries.
Was this from leftover from last season? Oh, I don't know.
Hard to say. But a disappointing result for Leeds. That leaves them 0-2, down another player due to a head knock, and the reigning champions on the front doorstep. Catalan, meanwhile, they've had a bit of a lucky escape, but not the best time. Steve McNamara going on record to say last week was practically the worst week imaginable.
Really? Wow, so must have been a lot happening in the lead-up work.
Well, this is what he said post the win. He said, due to sickness and infections from injuries sustained in the first game at Wakefield, due to that 3G pitch they've got installed.
Yes, you were saying about that to me off air.
So he said Matt Whitley was out due to a shoulder injury. Adam Kieran was a late omission despite being included in the side. Manu Ma'u had to return home on personal matters.
Yeah, that's not a really good way to head into round 2 of the season.
On top of having no Mike Meakin, no Tyrone May, or Mitchell Pearce lining up in the side.
So nearly playing a second string side.
But once again, the resilience of the Catalan Dragons was on show. All the big name players that are probably guns in the side, and they just absorbed all the pressure Lee was throwing their way.
And it paid off for them. It helped them get to the victory that they wanted at home.
Yes, it certainly did. Always good for them to get a win at home and make the Stars Gilbert Brutus a very unpleasant travelling environment for the away side. And Artur Morg, playing at fullback, often shifted between the bench, a utility, and the standoff, but Sam Tompkins in the halves this time, and allowing Morg to flourish at the back. My standout player, 112 run meters, 1 try assist, 2 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 offload, and 3 from 3 goals converted. And there was some... his first 2 conversions were absolutely spectacular.
They certainly were.
One kick he nails right from 40 metres out, and the other, one that swings back. He's 20 metres out, a metre in from touch.
And he hit it perfectly. Never looked like missing even a penalty goal from 40 metres out from straight in front. Unbelievable.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. But hey, that's what good goal kickers do.
That was just a spectacular finish for that one.
Yep.
Now, back to the hypothesis. Who gets the win here? Who goes to 3-0? And who cops their first loss of the year?
Well, I'm actually going to go and probably say this is a bit of a surprise result for what you think I'm going to say. I'm actually going to go with Hull SC to win this one. Bit of an upset. But I like how I know Catalans have been playing reasonable.
Undergunned.
Yeah.
As well. Undergunned is the word.
Yeah, but Hull SC, they're going not too bad as well. So I'd say they'll get the win, considering what Catlins are like with their players at the moment. They're a little bit short. Not all that, like you said, undergunned at the moment, but Hull FC not looking too bad to start off with. So I'm going to say Hull FC 1-6 in a very tight match.
I feel like Catalan could turn momentum in their favour if Hull make as many errors as they did against Leeds on Saturday morning. So Hull really need to cut the errors out. But I think they got something there. I'm going to back you up on this. I actually think Hull FC sneak away with the win, only just, depending how strong a side Catalan name. But I think the Black and Whites go 3-0, 1-6, very close margin.
Yeah, it's going to be probably one of the best games of the round, I reckon. Not the best, but one of the best.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's going to pan out, but only those who actually rock up to the game will know. Now, Wakefield Trinity will be back at home, this time up against the Huddersfield Giants.
You need to put up with a 3G ground.
Yes. So, Wakefield, of course, also third game, aim under Mark Applegarth, and looking for a massive turnaround in fortune after the Wigan Warriors humiliated them, not 20, not 30, not 40, but 60 points to nil.
We all saw it coming, though, realistically.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of did. Wigan were looking for a bounce back, and beating up on the relegation favourite was a good way to bounce back.
But look, Wakefield, yes, round one, everyone thought, oh yeah, this is going to be really good for Wakefield. Reality check, please. Massive reality check there, and it shows where Wigan are compared to Wakefield are. There's just a massive difference between them all.
Exactly.
Bevan French and Dryfield at it again. Liam Marshall scoring 4 tries, which I believe will be your standout player.
Yep, Liam Marshall is my standout player. 4 tries, 140 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and 1 offload. But the Wakefield defence was pitiful.
Yes. I don't know how you would describe it, really, besides pitiful. It was very, very soft. Softer than yogurt.
I've seen West Tigers press conferences with more hardness about them than Wakefield's defence. I'm not wrong, though.
No.
I've seen more backstabbing there than what I saw Wakefield's goal line defence. It's just non-existent.
It was like the softest of soft defence you've ever seen in rugby league.
Just how many...
Other than the Tigers' defence against the Roosters last year, the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
But Wakefield, they just got annihilated.
Yeah. So there's really not much to say about this one. For Wakefield, but for Wigan, they had an absolute field day, no pun intended.
Well, I think they actually... I think they capitalised on all the problem areas they had last week against Hull KR that put them on the back foot, and this was a training gallop that they executed to perfection.
They could have put a freaking second grade team out there and still would have
I think even the academy team would have snuck away a try victory here.
Yeah, easy.
But look, I think Harry Smith, if very much improved from last week, but just some of the tries they conceded, like late in the piece, Wakefield get a goal line dropout away, a short one at that. Toby King gets it, bats it back, and Sam Powell races 10 metres away to score.
Yep. Hey,
No.
We're only previewing round 3 of the season and we're already bagging the shit out of Wakefield. Didn't take long, didn't it?
Nope, it certainly didn't.
I mean, we were giving them credit last week for their win, but then what happens in a week? We just bag the shit out of them in week 2. After week 2.
And then, of course, you got both their flanks very much exposed if Bevan French and Liam Marshall can turn them inside out. And you know something's wrong when even Liam Farrell is juking the fullback.
Yes.
I mean, seriously. He just got humiliated big time, did Lee Gaskell. Well, the short ball put Liam Farrell through a hole. He had 2 options. Either pass Pass inside to his right, or pass outside. I try and get it to Wardle and Marshall. Nope. Start a step off the left foot, onto the inside, and he goes himself.
Yep. That is a massive issue if he can step the fullback.
But he's a good back rower, Liam Marshall.
Yeah.
Liam Farrell. Wrong Liam. I'm not knocking Liam Farrell as a back row. He is one of Wigan's proper leaders right there.
Yes.
And he led by example. So I'm not knocking him. I'm knocking to the grey, deeper than the Tigers' premiership ambitions. The fact that Wakefield just opened up faster than a bag of chips.
Or open up like a big sinkhole.
Either way.
Maybe.
It was crummy defence.
Yes. Very much so. Huddersfield, on the other hand.
I think they'll be looking to bounce back. I think, given that Wakefield's forward pack is undermanned and undergunned, I think they'll have a good opportunity to reset, having that been only their first game. I think they'll be able to take charge of the field a little bit more now. And there's some good news for Ian Watson that Jake Connor is on the horizon and for his first game of the year.
Very nice. They'll really add to the defence.
It's according to Ian Watson at the moment, he'll be ready in week 3 or 4, so he could be back against Trinity. But if they want to save him from re-injuring or picking up an infection from Wakefield's turf, they might rest him, and he would be back against Castleford. So the possibility of Jake Connor coming back very soon should give Ian Watson confidence, and I think Huddersfield are going to continue the job Wigan and start out of the following week. I think they will win 13-20.
I'm going to go a lot higher than that. I'm going to say Giants to win this one 41-50. Like, as in the margin.
So you're going 21 plus with this?
21 plus. I don't know what our new scoring system is, but yes. 21 plus.
Well, the new prediction range, if you haven't heard it here first, it's now, the margins we pick are now 1-6, 7-12, 13-20, and 21 plus. That's how we predict our scoring ranges now. For all options, very reasonable, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, but 21 plus for the Huddersfield Giants to get over Wakefield.
Yeah, it's going to be another ugly weekend for Wakefield, sorry. Now, Hull KR at home again at Craven Park, with the Leopards making the trek to East Hull.
Yes.
Have they convinced you enough that they could probably stay in Super League this time round?
Well, who knows?
Because we've already talked about how well Hull KR played, and to be quite fair, I am of the right mind to back Hull KR in for the set and to go 3 in a row at this point, because I think if they get Lachlan Coote back, I think it's only a concussion with him. Ryan Hall, Reece Kennedy, they're two different stories, but I think if Jordan Abdul controls it again, and it's going to be a good night, Irene.
Yeah. Look, Lee will, I'm going to say somewhat close to Salford in round 1. No, only losing by 10. Round 2 wasn't the best for him either. And I think that's going to...
They were just shut out defensively at the hands of Catalan, and I think Hull KR will be looking into really go at the fragile combinations that the Leopards have in their possession.
Yeah, but Hull KR, like their crosstown rivals, are going pretty well to start off the season, to be quite honest with you. In my view, anyway. But yeah, I think this will be one-way traffic as well.
Yeah, I think Hull KR 7-12. I think Willie Pieces will bag his 3rd win as a head coach.
I'm actually going to say Hull KR as well, but I've got to say 13-20.
Now over to the jungle for the second week running. The Castleford Tigers will play host to the Wigan Warriors, Castleford. First hit out against the reigning champion St Helens. It was not a pretty sight.
No. Jet lag? Who said jet lag?
What is jet lag? What is 53 hours of travel?
Yeah, well, that did not really phase St Helens whatsoever. And you said an interesting thing off air to me earlier about St Helens.
Yes, how good a club culture is when they were told they could have the training session the day they got back off, everyone turned up. Literally, these blokes have been spending the last close to 2 days and 6 hours travelling from Sydney with special cargo all the way back to Manchester for an hour's drive back to Merseyside to then go back up and train that weekend after that. That is unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable.
That's what a very top professional side, whether it's league, union, whatever, does.
That's sort of the case argument you would use if you're prosecuting the case as to why St. Helens could potentially go 5 in a row, and it's built off culture like that. They could easily go. Just off that effort alone, you're just like, yeah, this is a side that could go 5 in a row.
And what they spend 2 weeks out here in Australia.
3 weeks almost.
3 weeks, yes. And to go over there and, like I said, train on your day you got told to
coming back after a 3-week tour of Australia, beating the best side in the world, one best side to another, champion to champion, and now being recognised as the proper world champions. Unbelievable.
Rightfully so.
And then they walk up to the jungle, and it was, you would have sworn it was Castleford who had jet lag.
I reckon.
Because nothing was sticking on landing.
No, it seriously wasn't. Like, how many opportunities did they get that got knocked back? Especially the last try for Castleford.
So we had Niall Evalds bomber knock on.
Yes.
When Castleford had a 2-on-1 down the left-hand side. Baressa Faraimo put his arm on the touchline at the death of the game. Jack Broadbent broke free at one point, only for Jordan Turner not to handle the catch.
Yes.
And then Broadbent was denied a try, only for it to be awarded a penalty try later on.
Yes.
But to tell you what, actually, that was a pretty good decision on Liam Moore's part. He didn't even go to the VO ref. He saw it, he made a decision, he got on with the game.
With his touch judge, he had a bit of discussion with his touch judge at the time. But yeah, no referral to the video referee whatsoever. That's what you call a good referee.
I love it. Just make a decision, get on with the game, don't slow it down.
Or even award the try, then go to review it.
Well, they don't have that same function in Super League.
Yeah, no, well, I know that, but like, even Australia needs to learn from that.
Yeah, just get on with it. Mate, let the refs ref. Don't fill their head with every which other way. A manufacturer referee, just let them ref and get on with it.
Let it ref as they see the game, like commentators commentate as they see the game.
Exactly. That's
summed it up pretty solidly, I reckon.
Exactly.
Not being biased, but
as for St. Helens, though, well, class act, start to finish. They just pumped the middle over, and it was just never in doubt.
No.
Unless you tipped Castleford, then it was in doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, look, St. Helens never looked like losing that one.
And Alex Walmsley, I got to say, he missed half of the year. He missed out on being part of that formidable team that took out the title last year, but he picked up right where he left off. First proper hit out of the campaign. And 2 tries, 163 running meters, 9 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 1 offload, leaving Kenny Edwards and 5 other Castleford players in his wake.
Yep. Let me just write down Connor's St. Helens player of the rounds tally. Alex Walmsley, 1. It's going to be more than 1 this year, I can tell you that right now.
We'll see. We'll see how the results pan out, but another poor result for Castleford after nearly wrestling a comeback away from the Black and Whites a week before.
Nearly.
This was a major step down. And Jack Wellesby, even though he was charged with a high shot, I think he got very lucky it was only a £250 fine.
Yeah, very lucky. It could have got a lot worse for him.
It could have been a 1-match ban, which, unlike Scott Taylor, Wellesby will line up for the Saints later on, but we got to pick a winner here, and I can't go past Wigan in this one. I can't. I got to go with the Warriors 7-12 here as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Mate, I don't know. Do I go 7-12 or do I go 13-20?
I don't have anything on Castleford that could probably indicate that they could take Wigan on they just haven't given me any confidence signs just yet.
Look, I'm going to say Wigan was won 13-20. If they put on the performance like they did last week in round 2, that's not going to help them at all. To be quite honest with you, Gareth Widdop hasn't done much for me as I thought he would have done by now, coming to Castleford. But it's only earlier in the season, though.
Yes, we're only 3 weeks into this point. And finally, we have the grand final rematch. St. Helens for their first home game of the year against the Leeds Rhinos. Of course, for Leeds, there will be no Morgan Gannon because he has failed his concussion and is now stood down for the next 11 to 12 days. So he will be missing. Leeds, they better hope they get all their reinforcements back on the park. They get Newman back. They get Bentley back. Because they are running out of time.
You definitely want them to have, bring, or like you said, reinforcements in. Especially have a big matchup against St. Helens. But we saw that St. Helens, and we just touched on them about, no jet lag, did training on their day off, come just touching back down in Manchester. You can't discount St. Helens.
No, you can. As Eddie Hemmings made famous, never write off the Saints.
Yeah.
And,
I was waiting for you to say that.
There is a bit of concern on the injury front. Joe Batchelor has finally had surgery on his ankle injury that he picked up against St. George Illawarra. At the most, he could be missing somewhere between 2 and 2.5 months. And,
you hope it's sooner, but
on top of that, James Obi was unavailable for Saints into that win over Castleford. He was getting scared and doesn't specifically say what for. Curtis Sirenen missed the game through illness, or of course Tommy Makinson was stood down under the concussion protocol.
Yeah,
could be fit for this grand final rematch against Leeds, but I highly doubt it because it's 12-day. A stand-down order, so it could be the case he might be touch and go, but I don't think he'll play. So
I don't think they'll risk it, to be quite honest with you.
No, I think he probably can't play if it's still inside 12 days. So,
but look, having no Mackinson last week, no Roby last week, and I think you said no Curtis Sirenen last week
against Castleford, yeah,
and they still went out and blitzed them.
Tigers, yeah. A bit more positive news about Will Hopper-Wah, Artie and Ignatius Parsi. It could be possible that Parsi's back for the clash against Leeds, if not fit it for the trip to the Leeds Sports Village, and it's the same story with Will Hopper-Wah. As for Mark Percival, only time will tell to see how long he spends out due to a rolled ankle. But even if they're missing all of them, the core of St. Helens is still there. Wellesby, Lomax, Walmsley, Knowles. The 4 key players in that St. Helens side at the moment that can do all the damage in the world. And I think they'll do all the damage to the Leeds Rhinos again. St. Helens to win in the grand final rematch once again. And 13 points to 20.
Exactly. That's pretty much what I've got. St. Helens 13-20. They'll just be way too strong.
And on that note, it is full time from us here. If you liked this part or the part we did earlier in the P, please make sure you leave this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell to allow for notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league action. And don't forget to give us a follow and share on our social media pages. On Facebook and on Instagram is at Sideline Chat, and on Twitter is at Sideline Chat RL. Our main hashtag at SideChatYT. Hope you enjoy the first weekend of the NRL and look forward to round 3 of the Betfred Super League. We'll be back next week with more rugby league action, and keep an eye out for a special video to go up sometime this weekend.
Looking forward to it.
Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye.